All right. We are thrilled to be here. Summer Showcase, Touchstone Showcase, here joined in their brand new office by Nicole and Larry Rideout. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This has you've been on our wish list for a while to have featured you both on our podcast. So we're thrilled to be here with you. Who should we go to talk about this?
Smart one first.
We'll go to Nicole first. Tell us about this beautiful new space and the process to end up here.
Yeah, the space is really incredible. We're excited to be here. Obviously, you're in the space. It's very well lit, very quintessential Boston. I know you mentioned we have offices very close by, and we think it's really important that we have a presence in every community. That's one thing we've learned about being in Boston is each community is its own entity, and we really want to play a role in those communities. So, yes, we have an office up the street in Back Bay, like you mentioned, and up the street in the South End and all over the city. But this spot has been something we've been really coveting for a while. So we waited for a really perfect space, and we feel like we got it.
This was actually when we started the company in 2007. We opened in the South End, and this would have been the first location if we could do it. We made several attempts, and we couldn't make it happen, and then we moved on to other places. So it took us 15 years to get here, but we're here.
That's relentless and persistent, right? So Larry, your title, chairman and founder of Gibson Sotheby's International, and Nicole, chief strategy officer.
Yes.
So I wanted to make sure that was clear. And you're actually the first father-daughter duo on our show.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
That's exciting. I think we've had mother-son in the past, but no father-daughter. So there's something special about father-daughter, right?
I have a second daughter in the company as well that runs our reload department. So it's father-daughter-daughter.
Father-daughter-daughter. They got you outnumbered. That's the way to go. So we're thrilled to have you again today. I'd just like to get into it. I guess we'll go to you first, Larry, on this. I think what we try to do on our show is really feature sort of the early days. And if you could just tell us, go back as far as you'd like, but tell us about your story in the industry and how you ended up where you are today.
Well, I kind of come from a different perspective than most, I guess, broker owners. I actually started out in Charlestown under the Tobin Bridge as a Teamster. I was in the trucking industry. And my wife grew tired of that after 11 years and decided that I should do something else. So I went into the real estate industry. I joined a company, Century 21 in Woburn. And then I'm not going to bore you with all the details, but I ended up in Realty Corporation, which is the franchisor of all the brands, Coldwell Banker, Century 21, ERA. I ended up in that particular group in New Jersey, and I was promoted a few times to the point where I was running all the franchise sales opportunities, merger acquisition opportunities. So doing that seemed like a natural fit for myself and my partner, Paul McGann, to maybe take a shot ourselves. It's like I'm the president of the hair club for men. I liked it so much I went and did it myself. But so we went in here, we bought the South End, 50 agents. It was about a $250 million company. They had an office in Dorchester, and that was in 2007. And put all our money into that, and then 2008 the world crashed.
Yeah.
And everybody was either going out of business or growing, and that's the way I thought. So Paul and I talked, and we said, look, we can roll up in a ball, or we can continue to grow. And that's when we had one of our major growth opportunities. We went from 3 offices, to 7 offices during that, from 2008 to 2011. And it was essentially, opportunities that you couldn't say no to if you had money. We didn't have money, but we paid the expenses and got through it. And when the market turned, we were sitting in the right place.
That's wonderful. Yeah. That's a quick way to get to here. But talk a bit, more about, I guess, the recent history from 11 onward. It seemed like the growth has been tremendous. I guess, Nicole, what's your perspective on that has been over the years?
The growth has been really exciting. We've kind of all learned I would say Larry's bread and butter is a merger acquisition, so I've loved learning that. But I think that the part of the growth that is sort of intangible that people don't think of or maybe realize is going on is the emotional side of it, and also scaling the company, but then scaling the company's culture. So that's been what I've really focused on for the last decade, is as we grow, how do we maintain the family feel? How do we maintain the culture? How do we make like I said, really focus, double down on the communities that we're in, and make all of our agents and staff feel like family. So that's been a big part of our growth, and I think we've done pretty well so far.
And that's a challenge, not to interrupt, but
yeah, of course.
The culture is a critical piece for us. And as you get larger, it's hard to feel that family culture unless you really work hard at it. And so our leadership team is in the street every day, making sure that our agents know they're the number one priority to us. They are our assets.
And now I love all those points. What do you think about when you think about the road ahead, Larry? As we're meeting right now, it's sort of an uncertain time again.
Very much so.
What are your thoughts about the future, the next 3 to 5 years for your brand and for the group?
Well, I think for our brand, we're in what I consider a moat. We have very experienced agents that have survived many downturns, '08 and on and on. So I don't think in terms of the company and the agents, they're going to be okay. The market's going to have a little bump. The rates are going up. But in the markets that we're in, the rates aren't as significant as in the middle markets and such. So we're seeing less of an impact at the moment. We will all feel it a little bit, but there's not going to be a price crash. We have a very, very strong foundation. The economy is in a really good shape when you think about it from the foundation side. So it's going to change, and we think for the good. The acceleration of the prices have been much, much too much. No one can keep up that acceleration and continue to thrive. So the fact that it may go down a little bit will be a good thing for us, I think, for the real estate industry.
Yep, a little bit of consolidation,
yes,
potentially.
And we have many more opportunities to look at, and that's another thing that's kind of interesting. A lot of broker owners don't want to go through any kind of a shakeup, whether it's large or small, and we just try to let people know we're out here.
Yep.
We're not going anywhere, so just come and chat with us.
Now, I would love to talk a bit more about the sort of the father-daughter dynamic. Did you always growing up know you wanted to get into the family business, or how did that sort of, people want to hear about that. So how did that happen?
Yeah, I didn't. It's funny. I was going to jump on the 3 to 5 year vision, and I think
please do
I
too,
think
as
that
well.
lends itself nicely to the dynamic. I was going to say, looking forward to answer the question, no, but I grew up in the industry. I saw everything. I think I saw the good, bad, and the ugly.
Why did you say no so harshly?
Yeah.
It wasn't exactly the plan, but it actually ended up that I got into the business. I was a public policy major. I was in DC. I wanted to be in politics, and I came back, and my dad and we were going through something with our family, and I kind of jumped in an interim role 10 years ago and realized how much there was here, and also realized that there was a real legacy to build upon. And I think that that's something that I've always really coveted, and most people on our team do too. And I think that's what's going to differentiate us in the next 3 to 5 years. I think just us in general, when you look across the industry, we symbolize more longevity than you're going to see across the board. We marry nicely between the legacy piece and the innovation piece. And sometimes we swap out on, we have a whole team of people that bring different views to the table, and it's not always based on age. But I think that we marry those two things nicely. And right now, I think respect is a huge thing. And I think that oftentimes those two sides, they don't see eye to eye, and there's a level of respect that doesn't exist. We have both. We have the traditional brand, we have the sophistication, we also have the innovation and the longevity. We have a very youthful leadership team, and we have a vision for what's coming. And I think that we've held our steady hand and held a strong line on being traditional, on being a legacy brand that people can trust and feel comfortable with. And I think that in a time like right now, where people are uncertain, that's going to really be what people are looking for. So I'm hoping that we have a substantial leg up. I know that we will going forward. But yeah, the two of us, all of our family has been through the business. One of my sisters is still in the business. She's with us, and she's a big part of our leadership team. But I think that the two of us, we just got along. And that's the last thing I was going to say was family keeps you honest.
Yeah.
So it keeps the whole organization honest, because you can't hide from family. They know you. They can see right through it. And so it's a very candid leadership team. It's a very candid organization, because there's no facade, because I know who he is and he knows who I am, and we know who each other are. So I think that's been a real benefit. It's also really challenging, but challenging in the best way, I would say.
Wonderful answer across the board there. How would you add to that comment, Larry? It must be your pride and joy to have both of your daughters.
I couldn't say it any better. No, that's what Nicole's all about, and she's a good sounding board for me. And as she said, we're showing the community and showing the state that there's a legacy here. We're not going anywhere. I've got an entire group behind me that has another 10, 15 years in them, and so we feel like that's the piece that's going to be the strongest piece when you're out there in the real estate world. Is the fact that, first off, there's not a board of directors or investors asking me how much money we're going to make for them today. It's Paul McGann and myself.
Yep.
And we make sure we take care of our agents, and that's probably the most important thing to all of us. There is no one else I'm reporting to. And I think that's a very powerful piece that we bring to the table that a lot of companies don't.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly. And I will just comment as well. I feel like over the years, as I've met with agents or met agents that work on your team, they relay a tremendous amount of pride in being part of your team. And that's more than I can say about some other places, but they do seem to be really thrilled to be a part of what you're doing. So the culture is having a tremendous impact.
Yeah, it's very important to us.
I'm curious, what do you look for? Because I'm thinking of people in particular without naming names, but what do you look for in somebody when you meet them and think like maybe this is the right career for them, or how do you sort of guide them in that direction? Like just in your daily life, what do you look for in an agent?
When we started, we put in a place kind of an invitation only, and we've kind of stayed with that. I mean, obviously we've gotten bigger, so we talk and we do meet people and talk to them and see if they fit our culture. But the reality was, the most important piece for us was that we asked our agents, we said, look, you're in control of who's going to sit next to you and work with you. If you run into a co-broker or someone that you think is absolutely phenomenal, I want you to introduce them to us. So when we started the company at the South End, we grew from 50 to 100 agents almost overnight, and it was all referrals from our agent base. So we've tried to stay with that, but obviously when you get bigger, now it becomes the interview process, and the most important thing to us is culture. It isn't the production. We've turned away some major people that you would know because they couldn't fit into our company. So I'm not looking for the fast dollar. I'm looking for the long-term person that's going to grow with us. And that's kind of always the mantle that we've put out there. This is how we do it. And we've turned down a lot of people. We've brought on some new people and made them very productive. I
love how it's all organic, it sounds like, from just from the referral base internally. Yeah. That's the best way to grow, in my opinion. Nicole, I'll go to you with this question here. What excites you about the real estate industry right now? As you look at the market overall, the second half of the year, what are you anticipating? What do you think is going to happen right now?
I'm not an overly dramatic person, so you'll never hear that out of me. And I think that we're going to see a shift, but I don't think it's going to be anything that turns us all upside down, I guess. So what I'm most excited about is when I was just going to say, when we're looking for someone that we think will succeed with the company and obviously then therefore with the industry, like across the board, it's just real for us. Like I mentioned, like we're just we don't waste a lot of energy on not being authentic. And I think what's interesting about the real estate industry is how many people, different facets of life, demographics, need homes and different kinds of homes, whether it's investors, second homes. And there's something to be said for, there's an agent for every client. And if you do your job right and you're true to yourself and you're real, I think that that's basically the secret sauce. And that's what I'm excited about going forward, because I think it's almost like when they say, when the tide goes out, you find out who's swimming naked, be it from the company standpoint to the agent standpoint. Thanks to HGTV, I think we have a very bloated industry at the moment. And it's not a problem to have more people, but I think good people are going to rise, good people that are good at their job in the next, what you said, 3 to 5 years, but honestly, the next 12 to 24 months, I think people are going to have an opportunity to shine. And we were saying, I think there's been such a big shift. We went from the pandemic hitting so hard and fast on every level that there was this kind of panic, and everybody was kind of in this adrenaline, we were, and then all of a sudden, things really picked up. And so everybody just felt like it was almost like a scarcity mindset. We got to keep moving. And I think people are a little burnt out and they almost feel bad saying that because the market's been pretty good. But I actually think that now people are going to get to do what they do best. And I actually am excited that people could take a breath and do that.
And when there's a challenge is when you step up to the challenge. And to give you a point of reference, when COVID was going on, we acquired 2 companies. We acquired Arlington, and we acquired the Metro West company in the middle of COVID, and they've been phenomenal ever since, but no one was moving. Everybody was frozen in place, and we didn't freeze in place. We continued to keep our eye on the prize and keep focused on what we were supposed to be doing.
Keep growing through COVID, and nice to meet you on Zoom, and we're the new bosses.
Yeah.
No, that's wonderful. What would you say, Larry, to that question? Because obviously a different question for you, but what excites you the most right now about being in the industry, having your family involved, having such a machine here running behind you?
What excites me is the effort we put forth for the last 15 years. It's almost like reaping the benefits now. The leadership team I have is, as Nicole mentioned, very young, but so experienced and so strong. And we kind of all grew together. And, they move more quickly than I do. They're smarter than I am. I always joke, but they really are. They come at it from a different perspective. at the same time, I think we complement one another because I can pull the reins back and say, whoa, we might want to go that direction. They may ignore me, but the thing is, it's such a strong leadership team and it's such a strong associates that it's just, for me, it's heartening. I'm so excited about what we have here. And now the challenges come, the economy and such, and that will provide more opportunities for us if we want them. And so the challenges present opportunities, and we have a foundation of agents and leadership team that I think I can take anywhere and do whatever we need to do. So for me, it's almost a culmination of all the effort and time and that we put in for the last 15 years, and you feel like you might be there. You're never there, but you feel like you might be there.
Nicole or Larry, would you talk a little bit about your geographic footprint? Because it seems to be really large. So how would you explain that? How has it grown? What's been...
I can do that if you
Yeah.
As I mentioned earlier, we started out at 3 offices. We were 40 agents, I think 50 agents, maybe 50 agents, $240 million company. We expanded, and I'm not going to give too much away.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
We follow the lead. We follow where we're going, where we need to be. We're not trying to be 1,000 offices.
Yeah.
We want to be effective. Wherever we go, if we make an acquisition, it has to feed my company.
Yep.
Or it doesn't pass muster and we don't do it. So there's that feeding the company that caused us to grow. And so we're from Manchester by the Sea down to P-Town. So essentially all of Eastern Mass, 25 offices. We're now at 450 agents, and we closed last year $4.5 billion.
Wow.
So the
Congratulations.
The growth has been phenomenal, but it's been measured and with strategy, not just haphazard, go open a company, go open an office. Has to be a feeder for our existing company, or we don't go there.
So now do you look to expand just a little bit further out from the existing offices that are in place?
I think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
How much of it, I'll go to Nicole for this question, but you mentioned, listen, we're in an office right here. I can walk in 5 minutes and be in probably 2 of your other offices. So, how long do you envision that that's going to be important for people, for communities to actually have retail space? Because I personally think it's going to be incredibly important for quite a while. Yeah,
I agree with you. That's something that I've really been honing in on the last couple months is just what's our vision for that. It's going to look different. With people working from home and different markets that we have, I think we have unique opportunity. But I think that a lot of big real estate companies, they're consolidating. They're saying they don't need it. And yes, people are doing a lot virtually, right? They're signing contracts. I mean, everything that you do.
Yeah.
But the community real estate is the community. And I don't think that you could be effective in a community without having a presence. I don't think it needs to be 3 stories and everyone works there all day, every day. People are going to work from their home. They're going to do what they want to do. But I think you have to have a place where people can walk in and feel like they belong from an agent standpoint, right? So we obviously our culture, our community, and our company is important. So I think it's going to be more important than ever, to be honest. But I think that it's going to be really exciting to see what people that value community come up with for office space. And it's something I'm excited to kind of reconfigure in the next couple of years.
Yeah. I mean, there's only so many Starbucks you can meet at.
Right. We kind of are looking to do that little bit more of a shared workspace.
Yep.
Come in, collaborate. We did that in our Cambridge office, and it was really nice. We there's some private spaces, of course, but what you found was actually like tables like we're sitting at right now.
Yeah.
People would bring their client in and they would walk them through a listing presentation. They were doing it intentionally right out in the open to help other agents hear what they're doing. It's like we have a very collaborative culture. And so I think that's what we're going to lean into is just more collaboration in the offices and get that feel.
I love those answers. Larry, you sounded like you had some comments to that as well.
No, I'm in awe listening to her. She's doing a good job answering everything.
How do you both feel about, Larry, I'll go to you first, about social media? It sounds like when you took over in 2007, I mean, that's when things really started to take off. How do you feel about social media, how it's helped your business, how it's changed your business from that time to now? Because it's been a tremendous period of time.
It has been. And, I'm an older gentleman, as you can well see, until they obviously make my hair dark.
We're going to fix the hair. That was part of Larry's rider to his contract.
But the reality is I'm very active on social media, and I find it's very, it gives me a great advantage. And people ask me who handles your social media, and I said, I do.
Yep.
I do it myself. And so I see it as a very important factor, and I see things phasing out, like maybe Facebook is one element, one group of people, and Instagram's another, now TikTok. I haven't touched TikTok yet, and I don't know if I'll have to do that. I have children for that, I guess.
Yeah.
We need that. The industry needs that.
The dances.
Yeah. But if you see on my social media, I have a hashtag, relationships matter.
Yeah.
And I put that on everything because I always want to remind people that's the most critical piece in this real estate relationship. And, nothing's going to take the place of that.
Yeah.
Regardless of what other companies say, and they're going to come in and change the world. People want to be involved with people that they trust, and that's really the most critical piece. And in social media, I get to say that all the time, and I get a lot of reaction for it.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. What would you say to that, Nicole? You hit me when you're talking about authenticity, because I feel like so much of our industry is the opposite of that.
Sure. Yeah. I think that was a little bit of what I was alluding to.
Yeah.
We like to find the diamonds in the rough. No, we like to find the people that truly are authentic. And I think that social media can get a bad rap. I always say it needs to be a supplement, right?
Yep.
It's almost like walking into a room. I always use this example for a networking event. You're not just going to run around and say, hi, I'm Nicole, hi, I'm Nicole, hi, I'm Nicole, and pass out your card. You're going to have conversations. You're
I'm a
gonna talk
realtor.
about your
You selling?
kids. Yes, right. Talk about your kids, talk about your interests, your hobbies, where you live, get to know people. And that is what I think that social media is so powerful. And obviously Larry mentioned Facebook and different audiences in different places, but I think that if you use it the right way and you realize you might be speaking to a different audience, I know I'm speaking to a different audience on my Instagram versus my Facebook. I also think the world is looking to see like the difference that you're making now,
Yeah.
which is really unique on social media.
Yep.
And so we're really not into like beating the drum. I don't think people are looking for that anymore. I don't think people are really looking for like how much you sold necessarily. They want to know how many people you helped. They want to know, and we really try not to do that from a company standpoint. We try to tell stories. They want to hear stories. They're on there to see authenticity and get to know you. I know I've gotten to know a lot of people just with, I know Ashley from, we both have a baby the same age,
Yeah.
things like that. And you
Yeah.
can connect on those things. So it's really using it how you feel comfortable. But we talk about that so much with our agents because people just have to get their own groove.
They need like a guiding light, right? Like
Yes.
that's it. And I mean, switching gears a bit, Larry, but we were talking offline about the partnership and commitment with the Cape League.
Yes.
And, every night I went to about probably 20 games this summer, and it's the Summer Series, and sponsored by Gibson Sotheby's, is like beating the drum over and over. And so thank you for doing that, first of all. And what a great commitment to the community. You want to talk a little bit more about, I guess, not just the Cape League effort, but other types of efforts like that you've
We're
made?
involved in all of our communities as
Yeah.
much as we can be. Everyone reaches out. At the South End, we're very involved. Back Bay. Beacon Hill's our newest, and we're trying to be more involved. I think we have some things going on with Beacon Hill. But we think it's critical that the community knows that this is what we're here for. It's not just to sell you your home or show you a home. It's about being part of the community. And so in 25 communities, we have an impact, like you're watching and seeing in Cape Cod. We make sure that people know we're out there and we're trying to contribute as well.
Yeah, no, that's a great answer. It's really effective too. Just sort of old school, hand-to-hand, over the mic on the PA system marketing across all the stadiums. We'll switch to some other questions here just to get change of pace here. I'll go to you first too, Nicole. What skills or habits would you credit for your success?
I tend to take risks. I'll put myself out there, and I'm pretty bold that way. I am not a super detail-oriented person. Many people would tell you that. But yeah, I think I'm, like I said, I've used it too many times today, but authentic, genuine. I think that you waste a lot of energy when you aren't. I follow up with people. I make sure I get to know people, and I actually care about people, which I learned from Larry. And I think that I realized day one that was really the most important piece. But I'm very driven, persistent. I know what I want, and I'm going to go ask for it.
Yep.
And so that's definitely what I would say has helped me.
It's a great answer. Larry, similar question. Would you go to skill or habit? What would you credit for all your success?
I think probably habit. I lived in a tough environment, so I was a tough. Internally, I'm tough, but I also cry at a well-written menu. So I have a mixture of both. So I love fiercely. I love my agents, and it's not just saying that. I do, and that's. I can get in front of a meeting and all of a sudden tear up when I'm trying to say something because of that. And I love my family dearly, so, and I'm going to stop there.
How about, we'll go to Nicole. What's the biggest decision or change that you or the team have made in the last year? I know you're a new mom too, so it's probably a lot related to being a new mom?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I've definitely started to prioritize a lot more. Work was all I really did before, and it's unique now to have something at home that I want to be home, and I think that's been actually really beneficial. And I've learned what needs to get done, what can wait, what needs to get done and could get done in 15 minutes and doesn't need me to sit and, think about it for an hour. But yeah, I think actually probably like motherhood, I think has changed me for the better in the last year. Just having that little piece. I think we went to an event one night and I said something to the tune of driving home of like, wow, like motherhood really makes you realize, like, honestly, it feeds back to just kind of, you can accomplish anything that you want to. So I can't.
You can birth a human. You can do anything.
Right. No, that's the easy part.
And raise.
Yeah, no, I think that's really what and in the last year, I mean, in the last 2 years since COVID, we've made so many changes. And I think it's less about the change and more about, like, I could say Colleen Barry, our CEO, I mean, she and I are on the phone first thing every morning and throughout the whole day and close out on the phone. And I don't even know, I couldn't even think I was trying to think of a specific change. Like, we've had to make so many pivots, so many shifts, and we do it well. I mean, it's been a learning curve for sure. Bringing people back into the office has been really something that's been a little bit of a challenge, because some people enjoyed the Zoom meetings and some people really hate the Zoom meetings. You kind of have to play that. You can't always do both. You can't make everybody happy, but we've made a lot of changes and it's gone well.
Yeah, the benefit, so to Paul and myself is the younger leadership team. The technology evolution just blows me away with what we've done, what we had to do when COVID happened, but what's continued since, and it's driven by the younger group. And a lot of it, I'll be honest with you, I don't understand it, and I don't need to really.
I think the technology is key, and to your point, if you need to understand it, I'm sure you could figure it out. But if you don't have to, that's fine too, right? You do what you've done over the years, and it's working out great, obviously. How about some more sort of lighthearted questions, I guess? When celebrating a family member's birthday or going on vacation, who's the first to talk about work?
Me.
Yeah.
She's not lying.
He looked right at you.
Yeah.
What do you each bring benefits your personal and professional relationship? How do you feel that's kind of changed over the years?
It's funny, when I first started working with you, they used to call us Chip and Block. Like, we were like, I was Chip off the old block.
Yep.
And I think over the years, it might have been just because we've worked so closely together, I've almost seen more of my mom in me. Like, I noticed those little, because I'm realizing the little differences that we have.
Yep.
But those have been good. I mean,
she's figured out how to move me around.
Now she's the block and you're the Chip.
Right.
Yeah.
What would you say to that, Larry? It must be a great experience.
It's been great. At first she worked for me.
Yep.
Now she works with me.
Yep.
That's the best way I can say it. She's moved into the leadership role, and I actually reach out to her for questions and help every so often. Where before she was working for me in the company, and now she's one of as far as I'm concerned, one of the partners of the company.
And one of the biggest challenges, like you alluded to, is I have that. We're both cancers. We're both born in that part of and we definitely are like the hard outside and like very emotional. And we care so deeply about people that you take things very personally when you work with family. And that was a big thing that I learned right away, just learning to take a step back. Because you're like, oh my gosh, like you get very, like you're on the offense or on the defense in times. But that I've learned for sure, to just sort of take that step back, take a breath. But I think a lot of that comes with time and watching it happen. But yeah, we got along very well. We are very, very similar. And I think that's why I sort of know when he needs a minute. And some people read it differently. And it's just, we've had a very unique, really interesting relationship, I would say.
Do you feel like people can, it's a question first. Do you have agents on your team that are parent-child at this point? Teams or people who are parents?
We have a few,
Yes,
like
do,
budding,
actually.
yeah.
We do out in Metro West. There's a mother and two daughters. So
Yeah.
we do have some family.
So it must be interesting to sort of get,
Yes.
to,
Watch the perspective of how they grew.
well, yeah, and then yourselves as sort of an example of people who've done it well,
Yeah.
and to sort of
And you can
lean
relate.
into that.
It's an incredible edge for us when we go before a new company, and I bring my leadership team, and half of it's my family standing there. They know that there's a reality to this company. It's not something that's going to come and go.
Yep.
And I think that's a real advantage for us.
Yeah.
We traveled together for like a number of years. And I think that people like, it seemed like everywhere we went, everybody kind of like knew us and remembered us. And like, I really attribute that to being family, because when you're like father-daughter, people immediately just like relax. There's a level of relatability, whether they were like, oh, like they think of their daughter, oh, they think of their father, whatever it might be. It allowed us to connect really well with people very quickly, as opposed to when you go in cold and you're just kind of just you. But like anything, it definitely had its moments when it's personal, and you're at Thanksgiving, and you know we were trying to close a deal on New Year's Eve a couple of years ago, acquisition, and sometimes the holidays it's interesting, but it's all good. It's been amazing.
It's the American dream, right? The family business, and you pass it on, and multiple generations. So I think that's probably what draws people. And obviously, you both do such a fantastic job across the board.
The biggest blow to my ego was when we were traveling together to conferences and such, and she was getting out ahead of me in places, and I went from being Larry Rideout to being Nicole's dad.
Yep.
This is Nicole's dad. Like, what happened to me?
It happened quickly too.
Yes, it did.
Couple of fun questions just to wrap up, because I know we're coming up on time. Larry, favorite guilty pleasure? What would you say?
Ice cream.
Ice cream. What? Any particular type of ice cream?
I love coconut.
How about you, Nicole? Favorite guilty pleasure?
If it's food, French fries.
Biggest pet peeve?
Biggest pet peeve. This is really random, but I'm just going to say what's in my mind.
Say it.
When people say I was told, I don't like cop-outs. I don't like when people don't take ownership.
Yep.
And that usually is what that alludes to me. I like when someone just says, I did this, or
You mean
I didn't
like I was
this.
told to do this? I was told to do that.
Yes, a little bit of like I like when people like drive.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
And I guess for me, I like people to get to the point. I don't want a long story. You know, tell me what you want me to answer, and I will answer.
The solution thing, we always say, come to us with a solution. It's okay if you have a problem, but what's the solution?
Yep.
And make it quick.
My other thing that I'll say to people is, don't ever ask me a question that you don't want the answer to. My leadership team knows that. So, if you want to answer it, I'm going to give it to you. So don't ask me something and hope I'm going to sugarcoat what I'm going to do. So it's kind of the same vein, I guess. Just let's get to the point. Let's figure out what
direct.
we're doing and move on.
Be direct. Hopefully we've done a good job on the podcast of that. How about last television show that you binge watched? We'll go to you, Nicole.
Oh, I'm not a big television person, but the Theranos.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I watched that series. I loved that.
Yep. Fascinating and somewhat timely relevant as well. How about you, Larry? Are you a TV watcher at all? What's your
Yellowstone.
Yellowstone? Yep. Great show.
Enjoyed that. I did.
Are you ready to move out there?
I went out there for a Sotheby's conference, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing place. But no, I'm not going to move.
You guys could bring the brand out there. Make it happen. I want to thank you both so much for being on the Summer Series, Touchstone Showcase. I know this has been lined up for a while, so
thank you.
I know it's tough to get you both together, and we're really grateful and thankful for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Touchstone Showcase.